This is a Harley Benton EX-84, which is a Gibson Explorer, I suppose, or something along those lines. They're 285 quid from Toman. This was a B-stock one, 230 quid. But because I'm in England, I had to pay import charges and VAT, and that came to about 66 quid, which I thought was quite a lot. I was expecting it to be about 50, to be honest, but you know, whatever. So it cost me about 300 quid. Why did I buy this? Well, it's got active EMGs. I think it's an 8160 set, and these on their own, I think it's called the Het set, so James Hetfield. I mean, you can buy them not as a Het set, but it's the cheapest way to buy these for 175. Also Grover tuners, which I think are about 60 quid. So that's 235 quid. So this cost me 300, really, which means the guitar cost me 65 quid, and I got some active pickups and some Grover tuners with it. Love Grover tuners. Don't really have an active set of pickups. I've got some in my Pherotone, but I don't have a set of EMGs. I can't see why it's B-stock, if I'm being completely honest. There's not a single scratch on it. What I can feel, though, is that this, I believe it's the tone pot, that feels like something's wrong on the inside, so I have to take that apart. I just think it's not tightened properly by the feel of things. Can I pull it off? No, I need an Allen key. This looks fantastic. I wonder if it neck dives. It doesn't! Fully expected a neck dive. Okay, so I can tell there isn't enough relief in the neck because, I mean, there's no relief. So the truss rod needs to be loosened to give the neck a bit of relief because it's pulling too far that way. So it's going to buzz all over the place. Not too much of a problem, but something I wasn't expecting. Could be to do with the temperature change. This has been, when you import a guitar into England, it goes into like a warehouse while they send you out a letter to say you've got to do the import charges, things. It was Parcel Force. They didn't bother sending me a letter, so I contacted them. You can't do it all online. Massive faff. So it's probably sitting in a freezing cold warehouse for a while, so maybe when it warms up, I'll leave it in here for a day or two, see how it is, because this is where it's going to live. It's very dark. Very dark sounding pickups. Okay, the tuning's going all over the place. I think it needs to warm up, to be honest, but okay, I know this isn't really relevant, but there's a couple of things I've noticed. The frets aren't scratchy anywhere. Now, that may not sound interesting to anyone, but with Squires, the frets often turn up really scratchy, and these look fine. It almost looks stainless steel. They're really nicely polished up. I don't think they are stainless steel, they're just very nice and shiny. In fact, I'm almost certain they aren't stainless steel. I'll probably need to adjust the truss rod. That's not the end of the world. I don't know if there's any tools in the kit. If not, I've got a set. So if you're buying B stock, it's probably something you have to worry about. Made in Indonesia, comes with Grovers. It's all sprayed with black paint, so the neck probably could be sticky for some. I don't mind a sprayed glossy neck. Don't find it too bad. Doesn't neck dive, which is really cool. Pickups sound a bit dark for me, and that's with the tone on full. We'll have a look at why this tone pot's a bit funny. I may have to replace it. It's not the end of the world, but this is a B stock, so that's probably why. I do have another Harley Benton, that SC Custom, which is like a Les Paul, I suppose, but it's really a take on an ESP Eclipse. That's really nice. My friend turned up in the studio, checked the video out we did of that, a blindfold thing where he turned up with his SC450. I thought it was a full fat Les Paul. It's amazing. Oh, I see. These locking tuners aren't tightened up. That might be quite a part of the problem. Why are these loose? Okay, it's got locking tuners. Didn't know that. So the Grover locking tuners. It's even cooler. This is my only guitar with locking tuners, I think. It's really nice. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel like a cheap guitar. It's got a gut cut, which I really like, so it's comfortable, even though it's a complete slab. So I've been looking at Explorers for a while, but I like just having one volume, one tone. Why is this not working? Well, it sounds really nice. It's really nice to play. I'll carry on this review in a couple of days, which will be instant for you, just because I think this needs to warm up a bit in case that neck angle does change. If not, I'll adjust the truss rod. It's got a nice volute. It's really nice. I know some people have problems with Harley Bentons. I've only bought B stock and I haven't had a single problem. Actually, that's a lie. I bought a half size or 3/4 size sort of Les Paul take on thing. And it's got a twisted neck. Not so bad that it's unplayable, but I was trying to set it up and I did wonder what on earth was going on with it. So that isn't ideal. However, all the full fat adult guitars, in fact all the Harley Bentons I've played, I mean this does not feel like a cheap guitar. Like a 300 quid guitar, it feels absolutely fantastic. That's really impressive. It looks really cool. 300 quid. How do they do it? And the main problem I find with Harley Bentons is you've got Squires, and Squires are getting really good. I really like the Affinity range, Bullets not so much. And I was playing my Affinity, and I'd just done a review of how good I found it. My mate turned up at the studio with his Harley Benton SC450 that he paid 115 quid for, which is cheaper than a Bullet Squire. It was different league. And I would say the Bullets are quite good. It's just the Affinities are nice because they've got a full fat body. Just feels like a bit more attention. They still have scratchy frets. But this Harley Benton SC450 or 400, I don't know, 115 quid, and it just wiped the floor with it. And this feels incredible. They should do like a £600 range, which is like, well, what more could they do, in fairness? It's already got great parts. If it's set up well, you can't put better parts than really good parts. I mean, I wish it didn't have active pickups, but I bought it because it's active pickups and I don't really have one. I wonder if in like 5 or 10 years' time, you won't really bother buying a full fat Gibson Les Paul, even though I love my Gibson, because for 300 quid you could have the same thing. And I know it's set up in America and that's all nice and stuff, and these are set up in Indonesia. It's a CNC machine. It doesn't matter where it's cut out or where the wood's from. And I know people get upset about wood, but watch my Tone Wood series. On an electric guitar, I couldn't care less what the wood is or how many pieces of wood. It could be made out of plastic. As long as it doesn't neck dive, as long as it's weighted nice and you can set it up, who cares? If it sounds good, literally who cares? And 90% of the sound is the pickups. That's not true. Probably most of it is the player, but a lot of the sound is your playing and the pickups. It doesn't matter what nut you have. A bit for sustain, but as soon as you fret it, it's taken out of the equation. Bridge saddles. Look, watch my Tone series. You'll see what matters on a guitar and what doesn't. 300 quid. That is ridiculous. And the thing about Harley Benton is you go, well, I want to try a PRS. Or say you're a Strat player and you've got a Strat and you think, well, I want to try a Les Paul. I want to try a Telecaster. I want to try a PRS. I want to try 5 guitars, but that will cost me 10 grand. Well, just buy all of them from Harley Benton for like less than 500 quid in total. Their Telecasters are about 100 quid. Their Les Pauls about 100 quid. This is probably the most expensive Harley Benton I've ever played. No shot frets, so I'm just feeling that. They feel a lot nicer than my Mexican Fender. You can get the equivalent budget version to see if you like it from Harley Benton for so little money, just to go, do I like it? And you probably don't need to buy the full fat one, because what's the point? You've already sort of got it, just 'cause it doesn't say the name on the headstock. Like, I'm not going to buy a full fat Explorer. Equally, I'm not upset that I've got a proper Gibson Les Paul or a proper Gibson SG, but these are so good and let you know for a cheap amount of money what that guitar feels like. And if you don't like it, sell it, because I know people are going to say, well, you lose a load of money if you sell it. You don't. Go on eBay. Look at the price of these. You get what you paid for it. It's the same thing. So, right, I'm going to let this warm up. I'm going to stop going on about it, but I can't believe how good this is. Not that impressed by the sound, but that's the MG pickups. It sounds a bit dark for my liking. Probably sound better through a Katana, which is more spangly. This is really good. This is a fantastic guitar. I've had to do a couple of things to it. For example, adjusted the truss rod, but this is a B stock, so this is probably why it was sent back. And this tone knob was a bit scratchy. I don't think it was quite. I can't remember what I did with it, to be honest. It was 2 months ago when I shot the first half of this video. One thing I will say is I've done a bit of a setup and I've lowered the bridge as far as it will go. And I'd say the action is still a bit high, so I'll probably do a separate video on this. The only way to make it lower is to take the bridge off and either set the bridge pins further into the body, don't really want to do that, or file the back of the bridge off, which is a way to get around it. So I'll probably do that. It's only a mil or two, it would just make such a difference. It isn't unplayable, it's not really high, probably doesn't need doing, but sort of thing I will do because I'm perfectly capable of doing that, and it would just make it so much better. But for a £300 guitar, and I've been looking at Gibson Explorers for a long time, and I just haven't bought them because quite often they come with those strange humbuckers that I don't really like. But this came with active EMGs. I think it's an 8160 set, not quite sure. I don't have any active pickups in a 6-string guitar, a 6-string non-baritone guitar. I've got a baritone with some Seymour Duncan blackouts, I think they're called. So this is my only active guitar. I thought I'd try this. It's a shape of guitar I haven't got. And about 300 quid delivered. Grover locking tuners. What I will say about these is, I haven't tuned this guitar since I last played it about 2 months ago, and it's perfectly in tune still, which is unreal because we've had a couple of heat waves in England since mid-April when I first shot this, and I can't believe it's still in tune after all that time. I don't think any of my guitars have been, I mean, it was perfectly in tune, I didn't need to adjust anything. So, really impressed with that. Feels fantastic. Like I mentioned before, there's no sharp frets, there's no scratchy frets. The intonation was fine. What an instrument. And it's really nicely weighted. I played this at, did a rehearsal after I shot the first half of the video, so I played this for a couple of hours. I didn't play it for the whole rehearsal. I'm still trying to get to grips with how the active pickups work. Obviously I get how they work. We do a lot of clean stuff, and it's not as, let me put it on the clean channel, I'll give you an idea. So I like, it's not bright enough, in my opinion, right volume pedal. So okay, it doesn't sound too bad. It wasn't quite working for me, that rehearsal. Although in fairness, we rehearsed through this amp and I was micing it up, and normally we just go, we DI everything. So electric drum kit, bass DI'd into the desk, and I go through a Boss Katana headphone output, and it's all through headphones, so the levels are perfect. So it's probably more of a case of running through an amp when I shouldn't have done. I just wanted to play through an amp, but it's a really, really good guitar. So I will put some more time into playing this, because I haven't really played it for the last 2 months, and I'll do a more in-depth review, especially after I've lowered the bridge, let you know a bit more about it. But for 300 quid, I'd recommend this. I think it's amazing. For example, I won't buy a Gibson Explorer now. I've got this. I have no interest in buying a Gibson Explorer or the EMG. No, ESP LTD. They do a version of this, which is probably what this is based on. Let's be honest. I'm not going to buy it. This sort of ticks all the boxes, and it's something I don't have. I don't think the Gibson Explorers have a gut cut either, and I like that. It changes the angle for me, and I like it because I played Strats for a long time. Just having that tiny bit of angular difference when you're playing guitar, I think it's really, really comfy. So when I play a slab body, it's not as good. So one reason to buy one of these over a proper Gibson, and the price is about £2 cheaper. So this was B stock, about 230 quid. Import taxes are about 66 quid, so it's about 300 all up. And like I said earlier in the video, the EMGs are about 200 quid. These are locking Grovers, which I think are about 80, so that's 280 quid worth of parts. I paid 300 quid for this, including delivery. Well, delivery is free, but it's got to get here, so delivery's going to be, what, 20 quid from Germany. So effectively I bought some pickups, some locking tuners, and got a free guitar. I don't know how, obviously they get a discount on these parts, they're not going to pay full price, but that is a lot of guitar and quite a good spec for 300 quid. And every Harley Benton I've played, bar none at the moment, apart from the half size or 3/4 size, which had a bit of a neck twist, but it wasn't unplayable. They've all been really good. The most impressive one was the Gibson, as Paul I've previously mentioned, the SC400. Absolutely, I nearly bought one. So I've got a Gibson SG, whatever the Harley Benton rip-off of the SG, that's coming hopefully in the next few weeks. I've also got their CST24 coming, so I'll have about 5 Harley Bentons. I just think, try them. I haven't had any real I know technically it is a bit of a problem that I've got to shave the back of the bridge, but you could play it like this forever and not care. It's not, I mean, it's like as good as, it's definitely better set up than my Affinity Squires were. And they're about 180 quid, I can't remember, 150, 180, maybe £200 guitar. So it's not unplayable, it's just like it could play like a Gibson, and I've got a couple of Gibsons that play really, really well, and I want this to play as well, or even my Chapman, but I had to do quite a lot to my Chapman. See, that's a 600 quid guitar, and I changed all the electrics because the electrics were stupid. I added some weights to the back plate, I can't remember what else I changed, so this cost double and I still had to do stuff. My Gibson SG, that neck dived, so I put a metal back plate on it. Something you probably don't want to do, but it looks really cool. So it's not like every guitar you buy at any price range is perfect, is what I'm saying. So for 300 quid, the fact I've got to shave this, that probably wouldn't bother a lot of people. Like the fact that action's a tiny bit high. I just think, what an amazing guitar. It sounds great. There's not really much else I can say about it, to be honest. It's brilliant, it looks really cool, it plays really, really well. 300 quid, the only way it could have been better if it came with a hard case, but I don't know how hard it is to find a hard case that fit one of these. Probably an ESP LTD case would fit it. Yeah, check out Harley Benton's. I've got loads more videos on these. Check out the video on my mate Steve's, it's like a goldy orange copper top Les Paul, so the SC400 Harley Benton. I've got an SC Custom Harley Benton. That's brilliant. I played my Christmas song with that. That's about 160 quid. I'm going to do a video on the CST24, so it's like a PRS rip-off. Their SG. Really impressed with Harley Bentons. And I don't like buying sort of more than one guitar with the same name. I like to have a variation, so I've only got one Fender, I think. I've now got about 5 Harley Bentons, including the ones that are in the post. In fact, I've got 3 Squires, but that doesn't count, so I'm going to get rid of some of those. You know, all my guitars are different. I like to have a variation, but with Harley Bentons, they're just so cheap. You could buy one of every single one of them and just go, oh, I want to try a whatever this week. Okay, I'll buy a Harley Benton one. Do I like it? And then you probably think, well, should I buy the full fat one? Is there any point? How much better could it be if there is a bit of a defect with your Harley Benton? Or you could just buy, you know, if you're getting the SG Harley Benton, you think, oh, I want a Gibson SG anyway. Get it. You won't be upset. A Gibson SG is really nice, as is a Gibson Les Paul. Mine's wonderful. But Steve's Harley Benton Les Paul, the SC400, there's a blindfold video on it. I thought it was a full fat Les Paul. It's that good. Sounds fantastic, looks fantastic. There are no problems with them. So, unless we've just been really lucky, but that's about 8 Harley Bentons between us. Consistently good. So, yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Please check out some of the other videos. I'll put some links in the description because you might be interested in some of them. And I'll change the boxes at the end and the links in the description as I do videos on the Harley Benton SG. The one annoying thing about this is you can't put it in a stand because it's wonky. So you have to wall hang it really. But that's not a slight on the Harley Benton. That's the shape of the guitar. So if you're going to buy a Ghost Fret Chapman, it's going to have the same problem, or the ESP LTD version, or whatever the hell it's called, or a proper Explorer. You can't sit them down. I mean, I wouldn't lean it against an amp like that. That's a stupid idea. Whatever. Thank you for watching.